Dr. Deepika Patel, and today's my topic is about malaria parasites. In this section, we will see specifically about pathogenesis and lab diagnosis of malaria parasite. So this lecture includes classifications, history, causative agent of malaria, pathogenesis and clinical features, complications, and laboratory diagnosis. Something about history. The name malaria. In this malaria, mal means bad and area means air. Disease is spread by air pollution through stagnant water and marshy lands. Alphonse Levrance in 1880 discovered the causative agent Plasmodium in the RBCs of patients in Algeria. In 1897, Sir Ronald Ross had described the sexual cycle of parasites in female Anopheles mosquito in Sikandarabad in India. Alphonse Levrance and Sir Ronald Ross won the Nobel Prize for their contribution in the malaria. MS Tuyuyu, a chemist, was awarded Nobel Prize in Medicine in year 2015 for the discovery of artemisinin therapy, which is used for the treatment of falciparum malaria. Classification of malaria parasites. Protozoa is the kingdom, Neozoa is subkingdom, Apicomplexia is phylum, class is Coccidia, order Hemosporidia, genus is Plasmodium. Which is the causative agent of malaria? Human infection is mainly caused by the 5 species of malaria such as P. vivax, P. falciparum, P. malariae, P. ovale, P. novelaceae. P. vivax causes benign tertian malaria. Periodicity of fever is once in a 48 hours. It is called as a tertian malaria. P. falciparum causes malignant tertian malaria. It is a severe malaria and periodicity of fever is once in 48 hours. P. malariae causes benign quartan malaria. Periodicity of this fever is once in 72 hours. P. ovale causes ovale tertian malaria. Periodicity of fever is once in 48 hours. Now P. novelaceae, it causes quotidian or simian malaria. Fever periodicity is once in 24 hours, reoccurs every day, and it is a parasite of monkey but can also infect human, and many cases affecting men were recently reported from the Asia. Now pathogenesis and clinical features of malaria. First, benign malaria. It is milder form in nature and can be caused by all 4 species, that is characterized by triad of febrile paroxysm, anemia and splenomegaly. Febrile paroxysm. Fever comes intermittently depending on the species. Paroxysm correspond to the release of the successive roots of merozoites into the bloodstreams at the end of RBC cycle, and each paroxysm of a fever is comprised of 3 stages. These 3 stages are cold stage, hot stage and sweating stage. Second is anemia. After a few paroxysms of fever, patient develops normocytic normochromic anemia due to the parasite-induced RBC destructions, splenic removal of both infected RBCs and uninfected RBCs coated with immune complexes, bone marrow suppressions leading to decreased RBC productions, increased fragility of RBCs and autoimmune lysis of coated RBCs. Due to this, 5 reasons anemia may occur after a few paroxysms of fever. Now splenomegaly. After a few weeks of febrile paroxysm, spleen gets enlarged and become palpable. It is due to massive proliferation of macrophages that engulf parasitized and non-parasitized coated RBCs. Now malignant tertian malaria, it is also called as a falciparum malaria. It occurs due to these reasons like sequestration of the parasites, rosetting, deformicity. Sequestration of the parasites has P. falciparum has the ability to sequestrate the parasites in the blood vessels of deep visceral organs. This leads to blockage of vessels, congestions and hypoxia of internal organs. It is mediated by cytoadherence. Cytoadherence is binding of infected erythrocytes to endothelial cells via P. falciparum erythrocyte membrane protein 1, short form is PFEMP1. Now, rosetting. Binding of infected erythrocyte to uninfected erythrocytes occurs. Deformability. Parasitized RBC become more spherical and rigid. P. falciparum erythrocyte membrane protein 1 undergoes frequent antigenic variations and helps the parasite in evading the host immune responses. High level of parasitemia up to the 30 to 40% of total RBCs can be affected. Complications. Complication of specifically falciparum malaria, that is first one, cerebral malaria. It occurs due to the plugging of brain capillaries by the rosettes of sequestrated parasitized RBC, which leads to vascular occlusions and cerebral anoxia. It manifests as a diffuse symmetric encephalopathy that is characterized by generalized convulsion in 10% of adults and up to 50% of children. Muscle tone and tendon reflexes are reduced. Retinal hemorrhages. Neurological sequelae occurs. Repeated seizures may be occur and rarely it leads to deep coma. Signs of focal neurologic and meningeal irritation are absent. High mortality rate, that is 20% among adults and 15% among children. Complications of falciparum malaria continued to the pernicious anemia. It is characterized by black water fever, algid malaria and septicemic fever. We will see first black water fever. Sudden intravascular hemolysis occurs that may cause and followed by fever, hemoglobinuria, in urine, hemoglobin may be present and dark urine occur. It occurs following quinine treatment to subjects previously infected with P. falciparum malaria. Antibodies develops against parasitized and quinidine RBCs. With subsequent infections and quinine treatment, there is a immunocomplex formations followed by complement mediated. Massive destruction of both parasitized and non-parasitized RBCs occurs. Now, algid malaria, cold clammy skin, hypotension, peripheral circulatory failure and profound shock may occur in algid malaria. In cold clammy skin, skin may become a cold, tension reduced and shock may occur. Septicemic malaria, high degree of frustrations, high grade fever with dissemination of the parasites to various organs leading to multi-organ failures in septicemic malaria. Complication of P. falciparum malaria. Third, that is a pulmonary edema and adult respiratory distress syndrome. Mortality rate is greater than 80%. Now hypoglycemia, it is associated with poor prognosis, especially in children and pregnant women and following quinine therapy. Renal failure, it occurs due to the erythrocyte sequestration in renal microvasculature that leads to acute tubercular necrosis. Sixth one is a bleeding or disseminated intravascular coagulation. Patient present with significant bleeding and hemorrhages from the gums, nose and GIT with or without evidence of de-icing. Severe jaundice may occur. It results from hemolysis, hepatocytes, injury and cholestasis. Severe normochromic normocytic anemia may occur that is characterized by hematocrit or less than 15% or hemoglobin level of less than 5 gram per deciliter with parasitemia level of more than 1 lakh per microliter. It is greater than 2%. Now acidosis result from accumulation of organic acids like lactic acid may occur. Now some chronic complications of malaria, that is tropical splenomegaly, quartan malaria neuropathy, and it promotes Burkitt's lymphoma. In tropical splenomegaly, it occurs in people of malaria endemic area in tropical Africa and Asia, including India. It results from an abnormal immunological response that is characterized by IgM elevated splenomegaly, that is massive, hepatic sinusoidal lymphocytosis, peripheral B cell lymphocytosis occurs in Africa. Now quartan malarial neuropathy. It is a chronic complication seen with P. malarial infection. It occurs due to the injury to renal glomeruli by the immune complexes that results in nephrotic syndrome. Promotes Burkitt's lymphoma. Malaria-induced severe immunosuppression in African children provokes Epstein-Barr virus infection to develop Burkitt's lymphoma. Immunities. Innate immunity. It is the inherited host resistant against malaria parasites due to the attack of the young RBCs and reticulocytes, whereas P. malaria attacks older RBCs. Now nature of hemoglobins. Sickle cell diseases, hemoglobin C and E, fetal hemoglobin and thalassemia. Hemoglobins are resistant to the falciparum malaria. Hereditary ovelocytosis. Here the rigid RBCs are resistant to the falciparum malaria. RBCs with G6PD deficiency are resistant to falciparum malaria. Duffy negative red blood cells also present, and nutritional status, that is a paradoxical effect, and severe malaria is rare in children suffering from malnutrition. Something about acquired immunity in malaria. In acquired immunity, it contains humoral immunity and cellular immunity. In humoral immunity, circulating antibodies like IgA, immunoglobulin M, and immunoglobulin G against asexual form gives protection by inhibiting the red cell invasions and sequestrations, where antibodies against sexual form helps in reducing the transmission of malaria. Now cellular immunity, it plays role in providing protections against malaria. Cytokines released from T cells stimulate the macrophages and also stimulate the B cell to produce antibodies against it. Immunity against malaria attacks is species-specific, stage-specific, and strain-specific. Immunity lasts till the original infection remains active and prevents further infection. This is called as a infection immunity or pre-immunization. Laboratory diagnosis of malaria. There are two types of tests, that is microscopic tests and non-microscopic tests. In microscopic tests, peripheral blood smear, They are thick and thin smears, fluorescent microscopy, that is Kawamato's techniques, and quantitative Buffy-Coat examination. These three are microscopic tests, and non-microscopic tests are antigen detection tests, culture, RPMI 1640 medium, and molecular diagnosis, that is PCR using PBRK1 primer. Peripheral blood smears. It is the simple and gold standard confirmatory test. Specimen collected are peripheral blood, that is collected from earlobes or by finger prick or great toe in infants. Time for taking bloods. Blood can be collected few hours after the height of paroxysm of fever and before taking anti-malarial drugs. Frequency. Smear should be examined at least twice daily until parasites are detected. Types of peripheral blood smear, that are the thick and thin smears. Figure shows blood films for microscopic analysis. In left side it is a thin film and right side thick film. Smears are stained with one of the Romanowski stains such as Leishman stain, Giemsa, Fields or Wright stain or GSB stain. Thin smear has to be screened first. It is screened near the feathery tail end, and thick smear has to be examined if no parasites are found in thin smear. Thin film is tongue-shaped and thick film is round in shape. Advantage and disadvantage of peripheral smear. Advantages. Peripheral smear is simple, rapid and cheap. Thick smear is useful in detecting the parasites. It is 40 times more sensitive than thin smear, can detect as low as 5 to 10 parasites as per microliter of blood. Quantification of parasitemia may occurs. Demonstration of the malaria parasite pigments also occurs. Thin smear is useful in speciation of malaria parasites. Now, which are the disadvantages of smear? Labor intensive and requires experienced microscopist. Low sensitivity. The detection limits of thin smear is more than 200 parasites per microliter of blood. Speciation of malaria parasites, that is shown in figure. They are the species-specific malaria, P. vivax, P. falciparum, P. malari and P. ovale. Stages are early trophozoid, late trophozoids, key zones, female gametocytes and male gametocytes. Early trophozoids in P. vivax shows ring-shaped nucleus is seen like a red color dot and vacuoles are present. Then cytoplasm is blue in color. It shows in RBC it is a ring shape. Then P. falciparum, early trophozoid, is seen like a ecoliform and like a P. vivax malari, double dot ring form. In P. vivax single dot ring form, and multiple ring forms are seen in P. falciparum infections. In P. malari, it is seen like a P. vivax malari, and P. ovale, cytoplasm is big and vacuole are small. Late trophozoid form is seen, that is in P. vivax, P. falciparum, malari and ovale. Band form in P. malari. Pigments are dark brown in P. falciparum. RBCs are broken in P. ovale and trophozoid form in P. vivax, that is seen in figure. Ski zones are of various types in P. vivax, falciparum, malari and ovale. Female gametocytes. In P. falciparum, it is a banana shape, and P. vivax, it is a round in shape. Then male gametocyte, P. falciparum, also it is a a banana shape, and P. vivax it is a round. Various morphological form of Plasmodium vivax are seen in figure. Thin blood smear showing different form of P. vivax. A, that is a ring form. Second is a amoeboid form. C is schizones. Third one is a male gametocyte round in shape. And E is a female gametocyte banana shape. Thin blood smear showing A, that is falciparum ring form, such as multiple rings seen in RBC. Blue arrows, ecoliform shows red arrows, and headphone appearance, it is black in arrow, and it is seen in here blue, that is a multiple ring form, red ecoliform, and headphone appearance is seen black arrows. Then B, female gametocytes of P. falciparum malari banana shape. Male gametocyte of P. falciparum it is also seen in C, and ring form of P. ovale here in D, and band form of P. malari it is seen in figure. Now, quantitative Buffy coat examination. QBC malari test consists of 3 basic steps, that is a concentration of blood by centrifugations, staining with acridine orange stain, and examination under ultraviolet light source. Then interpretations. Acridine orange stain the nuclear DNA fluorescence brilliant green. Normal RBCs don't take up the stain as they are nucleated. Parasitized RBC appears as a brilliant green dots. WBC also take up the stains. Advantages. QBC examination is faster, more sensitive, and quantification is possible. Which are the disadvantages? QBC is expensive, less specific, and speciation is difficult. Thank you.